بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So we should be in the chapter of it's the chapter of good company, but it's really talking about being in the masjid. So I don't know how it is in the book. Can you pass me that red book, please? Something like that. Careful. Okay. I forgot now. I'm home now. I can actually see. Um, 6. In the chapter of yeah. Here it says walking to the prayer and sitting in the masjid and other things. 172. Page 172. Right, here we go. So this is Hadith 373 on page 175 of the Turath print. Hadith 373. And yeah. So it says Kullu kalamin from Abdullah ibn Muhayriz. كل كلام في المسجد لغو إلا كلام ثلاثة إلا المصلي أو ذاكر لله أو سائل حق أو معطيه. Yeah. So in the masjid, every single thing you say is counts as a cuss word, basically. Meaning laghu. Laghu is bad words. Like everything you say in a masjid is bad. With the exception of what? Illa musalli. I have al-musalli, somebody praying. أو ذاكر لله, somebody making dhikr. Or asking for that which is right, or giving that which is right. Right? So, i.e. in the masjid, we should not speak. It's a place for worship. Okay, let's see if that comes next. Here we go. And then it says 374 from Abdullah al-Mu'adhin, who said Sa'id al-Musayyab, the son-in-law of Abu Hurairah said, the great mufti of Medina, he said, Man jalasa fil masjidi فإنما يجالس ربه. Right, whoever sits in the masjid is sitting in the company of his Lord. Right. فما أحقه أن لا يقول إلا خيرا. Right. It is therefore, so what great right that he has then not to say anything but the good. Right. So you're sitting there messing around in the masjid. That's not what it's for. Right? It's for worship. Okay. Abdurrahman ibn Jubair ibn Nufayr narrated that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq prepared the armies to go to the Levant. And he said, إنكم تقدمون الشام وهي أرض شبيعة وإن الله تعالى ممكنكم حتى تتخذون فيها مساجد فلا يعلم الله فلا يعلم الله أنكم إنما تأتونها تلهيا وإياكم والأشر. Right? So in the text 176 it says فلا يعلم الله, it should say فلا يعلم الله. Right? فلا يعلم الله, not لا يعلم الله. Right? So he said, you are going to the Levant, a heavily populated land. Right? It's a lush land. So you've got to imagine Saudi Arabia with no fuel. Okay? It's just desert. Like, how do you even live there? It's horrible. It's really difficult. Really hot, bad agriculture. There is agriculture, but it's not good compared to the Levant, right? The Fertile Crescent, it's called, right? The Fertile Crescent, which is the Levant and Iraq, right? So as opposed to like Arabia, like what are you talking about? There's nothing there, right? One of my friends, he said, he was in Dubai, I think, and he saw people kids who had grown up in the desert. He said they look really sick and pale, right? Like, exposed to extreme heat, very, very harsh, right? Looks really, really difficult, right? It's almost analogous to like Inuits, right? Like Inuits moving from living in the polar regions and then moving to like California, you know, or Europe. It's like, oh, it's like clement weather, grass, agriculture, stability, safety. Oh, my kids don't die all the time, you know? So it's really harsh. You're going to this lush place. So when you go to this lush place, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give it to you. He's going to give this land to you, right? Then he says, let not Allah know from you that you only went there to chill out. So why did you go to California? To live a luxurious life? What was the point of that? Or what was the point? Like, why did you go and live in the West? To live a luxurious life? What's the point? That's not a thing. You're there. Don't let Allah see from you that you went there just to live a luxurious life. Because now you're living in the Levant where there's water and there's agriculture and it's nice and there's lots of people there, right? إنما تأتونها تلهيا, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you these lands حتى تتخذوا فيها مساجد. The point of living in the West is to give da'wah. The point of going to a wealthy area is to do good. That is what you're trying to do, not to amass wealth, right? So this is the huge mistake that so many Muslims have done. There's no problem going to live in the West if you're going there for da'wah, or you're going there for, basic safety. But when you're going there to make it big, right? You've totally lost the whole point. وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْأَشَرِ, and be very careful of distractions. Right. Should she translate this as distractions? 1 second. I'm not really sure if that's really the right translations. Al-Ashar. Right. Al-Ashir is like a really evil person. Distractions. Give me a second. Al-Ashar. وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْأَشَرِ. It's like pride. أشر يأشر أشرا فهو أشر. Um, so أشر مرح ونشط. أشر بطر واستكبر فهو أشر. To become haughty. Don't become proud. No, it's not distractions. Don't become haughty and proud. Right? So life used to be very difficult for you, and then it's now become easier for you. Right? So don't become proud. Wallahu a'lam. Pencil. Just if you get a pencil and put that on the book, and if you have the book, just be careful of distractions. Be careful of becoming proud, right? Don't lose a plot. May Allah protect us. Okay, so he says أخبرنا عبد الرحمن بن يزيد ابن جابر قال حدثني إدريس بن أبي إدريس الخولاني عن أبيه قال لا يعقبن الله الذين يمشون ولا يعقبن I think it's يعقبن أعقبه yeah لا يعقبن she has لا يعقبن but I think it's يعقبن I think it's يعقب فأعقبهم right to give somebody as their aqib as the thing come after them لا يعقبن I believe I should put it بالضم الياء Okay, لا يعقبن الله الذين يمشون إلى المساجد في الظلم نورا تاما يوم القيامة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them as a reward, right? Iqab is a punishment. أعقبه to give somebody as a result of something because of their walking. Allah will completely illuminate those who walk to the masjids in the dark on the day of rising. So the difficulty. So again, you don't have a car and you're going to have to walk 10, 15 minutes in the dark, right, to the masjid. Right? This is what people used to do. When he mentions with the chain عن أبي عبد الرحمن السلمي, right? This is the student of Sayyidina Ali. So we're talking about the qira'at, right? When you recite Quran and you recite Hafs and Asim, one of the chains of Hafs and Asim is Hafs narrating from Asim ibn Abi Najud from Abdurrahman from Abi Abdurrahman al-Sulami from Sayyidina Ali. Right? So he's the teacher of Asim, one of the teachers, one of the many teachers of Asim. أنه كان يأمرهم أن يحملوه في الطين والمطر في المسجد وهو مريض. Right? So he used to, when he was sick and he wasn't able to walk, he would tell people to carry him to the masjid. Right? And I believe this is obligatory in the Hanbali school. But praying in Jama'ah is obligatory. Even so, so if you're sick and leaving the house will make you sick, make you worse, you're not obliged to go. Right? But let's say, for example, I can't walk. Like I'm just not physically able to walk, or I'm sick and leaving the house will not make me worse, right? So this is hardcore, right? This is what made these men, right? Is doing things that are really difficult, right? Going to the masjid, even though it's hard, right? So we have to embrace difficulty because it's only going to get harder. Wearing hijab is going to get harder. We just saw what happened in Venezuela, right? And it's like I thought I live in a democratic country. I thought people have like rights, don't they? I was like, no, they don't. So they're gonna come to your house soon. They're gonna knock on your house soon. Don't worry, right? People will be abducted. That's gonna happen, right? People will be, there'll be times where it's like, oh, religious rights. You can tell your manager, I want to pray, and there'll be times when you'll be fired because you're Muslim, and that's gonna happen. It's not a problem, right? So we have to embrace the difficulty. It's only gonna get harder. That's how it is, right? So Anas said, the Prophet said, there's no time except the time that follows it is worse. Right? So we have to embrace difficulty. Like it's gonna get really hard and it's gonna get worse. Right? So this idea like I'm sick, I can't go to the masjid. Like, well, can you be carried to the masjid? Yes. Okay. Right. So that's hardcore, right? That's how it is. It's real deal, people. Right? We do things because it's hard. Right? Obviously don't go to extremes, don't harm yourself, but the idea is when it's easy, I'll do it. That's not the right mentality, right? Because it's not going to get easy. Hijab is not going to get easy. Praying in public is not going to get easy. Being a practicing Muslim is not going to get easy. Buying halal food is not going to get easy. Making halal money is not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. Right? Being in a good environment. Oh, I want to be in a good environment. It's going to get worse. It's bad now, it's going to get worse. Right? Um, okay. Okay. Okay, so 387. He says, with his chain transmission, he says, دخلنا على أبي عبد الرحمن السلمي وهو عبد الله بن حبيب وهو يقضي أي ينزع في المسجد. Right? فقلنا له لو تحولت إلى الفراش فإنه أوثر. وقال الحسين أوثر أوطأ. قال حدثني فلان أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يزال أحدكم في المسجد في الصلاة ما دام في مصلاه ينتظر الصلاة. قال ابن صاعد وكذلك رواه ابن فضيل. So he says, we visited Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami while he was issuing judicial judgments and settling disputes in the masjid. We said to him, so the fuqaha in general, they say you shouldn't do that actually. The judge should not be in a masjid. Why should you not be in a masjid? Who cannot access you if in a masjid? So if you have the court was inside the masjid, who would not be able to go to court? Women sometimes, yeah, and non-Muslims, right? So what if I have a case, right? So the point of the judge, the judge is right. So maybe this person's not going to come, right? So women, for example, on the period, they're not going to be inside the masjid, right? Former madhahib, right? This is the position of the former madhahib. You cannot be in a masjid if you're on your period. So now suddenly, well, I don't have a court case just because I'm on my period, right? You might have you might actually have a court case, right? Um, so Allahu A'lam. So anyway, the point is he wanted to be there. So they said to him, if you move to the bed, it'll be more comfortable, right? And Hussein said they meant the lower platform. If you went somewhere else, it'd be better, right? And he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, a person is you are constantly in prayer as long as you remain in your place of prayer, waiting for the next prayer, right? Which is true, right? But unless you need to be somewhere else. Okay, so he says, excuse me. Then he says, Ibrahim al-Nakha'i said, so this is 379. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i said, كانوا يقولون أو يرون أن المشي في الليلة المظلمة موجبة. So they used to say, or they used to believe that walking to the masjid in the night, darkness of the night, was a cause of obligation, mujiba, i.e. you guaranteed paradise if you do that, right? They used to see that, meaning the Sahaba, Tabi'een, they used to see that like, oh, khalas, that's it, this person's definitely going to Jannah. And so Abu Mijlis narrated that Umar ibn Khattab said, ما أبالي على أي حال أصبحت على ما أحب أو على ما أكره لأني لا أدري الخير فيما أحب أو فيما أكره. So this is actually a new topic, but there's no new title, right? So anyway, so he says, Sayyidina Umar, he said, I don't care how I wake up in the morning, in a nice situation or a bad situation, because I don't know in is the good found in that or in something I dislike. So what does it mean? What is a good situation to be in? What is a bad situation to be in? Like, what does it mean? Like I'm in a good situation. So is stage 4 cancer a good situation or a bad situation? It's a bad situation. Really? Thank you. Right? So stage 4 cancer that makes you remember Allah is good. A cure from stage 4 cancer that makes you forget Allah is bad, right? So good if connected to Allah, bad, right? So I don't know. Should I be in prison randomly for no reason? Is that going to make me close to Allah? Or should I be, for example, healthy and that's going to make me close to Allah? I don't know. I don't really care, right? As long as I'm close to Allah, I don't really care, right? So, I was just in the previous class and the analogy that we're making was, you look at pain and you think pain is bad. Well, pain is bad if it doesn't bring more pleasure, does it? Right? So, for example, Sham and I, we're going to business, and Sham spends $5 billion on something. I'm like, oh my God, Sham, you spent $5 billion. That's insane. You spent so much money. That's so bad. Is that a good way of analyzing profits and losses? What's a good financial way of looking at it? So he spent $5 billion of our capital. That's bad, right? Because it costs so much. How much are you going to make? I'm going to make $17 billion. Okay, great. So I could either look at it as bad in that you're not going to make any profit, or you could have made more profit. We could have made trillions of dollars. Why did you invest in that one as opposed to the other one? But you don't look at the cost, you look at the profit, right? So this is a bad situation or a good situation. Well, it depends how you look at it, right? Depending how you look at it. Depending, does the situation, does being in prison, does death, does loss of all your family members, does the pain, emotional pain, right? Is that good or bad? Well, I don't know, right? Before you got married, you were continually making dua to get married. And now that you're married, you don't make dua anymore. Okay, it's better not to be married then, isn't it? Right? Before you were married, you were miserable and you found it very difficult to thank Allah. Now that you're married, you thank Allah all the time. Then it's good to be married, right? So is it good or bad? Like, well, depends what that situation, how that situation brings you closer or further away from Allah, right? So it depends. So I don't know where the good and bad is. So the good and bad is not good and bad. Good and bad is, am I connected to Allah? Am I talking to Allah? Or am I not talking to Allah? So if you're talking to Allah all the time, then it's good. If you're not talking to Allah, then it's bad. Money that makes you grateful to Allah is good. Money that makes you forget Allah is bad. So don't limit Allah's power. Be positive and always talk to Allah. That's the option. Okay, that's 381. ما أدري. Um, so this is from next one here. So it says, um, also from Salih ibn Mismar, he said, قال ما أدري النعمة الله علي فيما بسط أعظم أو نعمته علي فيما زوى عني. Right? So who he said this Salih must have said, I do not know which is greater, the blessings of Allah which He expands for me or which He removes from me. Right? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took something away from you, is that better? Or giving something, is that better? I don't know. So not really. But should you make dua? Should you say, Oh Allah, I don't care? No, you should always make dua for ease in life. Always make dua for ease in life. Okay, and then it says Bab, reliance on Allah, Bab ma ja'a fi tawakkul. Right? So tawakkul and tawakkul. Tawakkul means I've taken all the means, but I see the means don't do anything. The means do not do anything. Studying for the test does not make you pass the test. Passing the test does not get you the job. Getting the job does not make the money. Making the money does not make you happy. Does not solve the problems. So I take the means, ibadatan, as an act of worship, right? And I rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the end results. I don't really care about the end results. That's all in Allah's hands. Right? Does that make sense? So these are two different. So tawakkul is you didn't take the means. You didn't study for the test. You didn't work hard. Like, oh, I'm late for work. It's like, did you get up early and, you know, check the time? No, you didn't do that. You didn't work hard. So It didn't work out. Like, that's called tawakkul, not tawakkul. Tawakkul is I've taken the means and but I don't care. I'm not interested in the end results because that's not I'm not worshiping Allah through the end results. I'm worshiping Allah through taking the means. So I don't really care about the end results, whether I get the job or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? I'm just taking the means. Whereas tawakkul is you're not taking the means, even though it was Allah asking you to take the means. Allah wants you to get a job, but you didn't even look for a job. Right? Allah wants you to pass a test, you didn't even study. Allah wants you to try and solve the problem, but you're not even trying to solve the problem. You're just sitting there making dua. Right? So Allah, help me guide my children, make dua, take the means to guide your children. Otherwise, oh, just make dua. Oh, just recite Surah Yasin. My kids will be guided. So that's not how it works, right? Your kids being guided, actually getting guided, that's in Allah's hands. But your responsibility is something else, which is your amal. You have to do something. Does that make sense? Okay, so he says, so here it says, أخبرنا يحيى بن سعيد. So Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari is the Sheikh of Imam Malik. عن سعيد المسيب from so these are like the faqih of Egypt narrating from the faqih of Egypt. Okay, أن سلمان وعبد الله بن سلام التقيا فقال أحدهما لصاحبه إن لقيت ربك قبلي فألقني وأعلمني ما لقيت فإن لقيته قبلك أخبرتك فتوفى أحدهما ولقي صاحبه في المنام فقال له توكل وأبشر فإني لم أرى مثل التوكل قال ذلك مرار 3 مرار. So Salman and Abdullah ibn Salam, they met one day, and one of them said to the other, if you meet Allah before me, come to me and inform me of what you have encountered. And if I meet Allah before you, come to me, I in a dream, and inform me, right? One of them died and he met his fellow in a dream and he said, put your trust in Allah and receive and rejoice, not receive good news and rejoice. I have not seen anything like trust in Allah, right? So what does it mean? You trust in Allah, you take the means and you trust in Allah, right? So where does it come in our dunya is we don't care about the results, aslan, right? So I'm not interested in that. When it comes in our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that we do everything we can and we don't rely on any of it. So you don't say, oh, I'm a sinful person, therefore I'm not going to go to paradise. Or I'm a righteous person, therefore I'm going to go to paradise. Or I'm a 5.27 righteous person, so I'm going to go to this level. No, you say, I'm the biggest idiot ever, and just say, oh Allah, accept me to Firdaus al-A'la regardless. So you try really, really hard, have no hope in your own deeds, and have the hope in Allah's deeds, in Allah's generosity. Does that make sense? So the sign of that then is when you sin, your hope doesn't decrease because you're not relying on your good deeds. And when you do good deeds, your hope doesn't increase because you're just seeing yourself as a joke. This is just a kind of a joke. I'm the joke. I'm a clown here, and it's almost like the king said, king said, try and beat up my executioner, and I'll save you. So you're like, well, I'm not going to beat him up. He's like 3 times my size, but I'll just do it anyway, and then fail, and then just hope that the king will save me anyway. Right? That's what we're doing here. You're not actually supposed to be righteous. You're supposed to try and be righteous because you're not actually righteous. You're just a bad person, right? So don't rely on yourself being righteous. Don't rely on yourself. Don't have, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that, and hope of like if I change this, then it'll change that. Allah doesn't react to you, right? Allah wants you to try your best, throw in the towel, and rely on Him. Does that make sense? So in your dunya, you try your best, ibadatan as act of worship, not trying to achieve the dunya. And you do your best and you throw in the towels. It doesn't matter what the results are, and that's it. Right? And in your akhirah, the same thing. Try your best, get rid of the sins, try your best, do these things, right? Really try your best, but don't have any reliance on how good or bad you are. Don't say I'm a bad person, therefore this, or I'm a good person, therefore this. Just look at Allah's rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're like, Allah, just give me an A star, even though I deserve an F. Oh Allah, give me 100%. Give me like the highest level of Jannah without a single question, even though I'm just a fool. And I do also bad stuff. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, everybody? So what is wrong though is, oh, it's okay. I don't have to do good deeds because I just rely on Allah, right? So not to focus on the results. Yeah. So what do you do? Who is Siddiqa Institute, by the way? This is Adib. Ayman. Okay. So that's called. So what you do then is you die before you die. Okay. So so yourself, your money, your house, your family are all dead, all gone. So what does it mean now, whether you're cured of a disease or not? Irrelevant. Like what if you're all dead? You're all nuked. Everything's been nuked. It's all gone. Your achievements, people know about you, this, that, it's all gone. Now you're dead and you go back. You say, what could I have gone back and got? You go back and you get, oh, being nice to so and so, being patient, saying a nice word, doing some things here, doing things there. Right? That's called dying before you die. Right? This is the way of the believer, to die before you die. Give up on everything, your marriage, the kids' health, the kids' success, all everything. You're already dead. Khalas. Car accident, you're just all gone. Everybody's dead. And then you go back and you say Allah's going to give you back like what is it? Like Christmas Carol, right? You have a chance to go back now, right? Ebenezer Scrooge, you're going to go back and let's try and what are those things that that are interested in, right? So, but whenever you are worried about the results in the dunya, that's called hubb dunya. It's called love of the dunya, and it will destroy you. So you're worried about how the kids are going to do at school. You're worried about your looks. You're worried about your weight. You're worried about your marriage. You're worried about your business. You're worried about what's going to happen to the state of America, right? Like what is going to happen to America is kind of like insane, you know? But like I don't really care. I'm already a dead person. I'm going to go back into life as a ghost and relive things. Oh, what could I have taken from those things? This is called zuhud, right? Like I'm already dead anyway. Who cares? Right? It's already gone. Right? Yeah, 100%. So worry. So why do you worry about your kids? I worry about my kids. For example, my kid coughs, and I'm worried about his health. That's called hubb dunya, love of the dunya. Yeah. So how do you know that your children are dunya is that you don't want them to die as a shaheed right now? That's the test. Like I say right now, Sayyidina Jibreel comes to you and says, Abdullah, I've got a special contract. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to make your children, all of them, die as a shaheed right now. How much are you going to pay? And it's like $3 million. And you're like, I'll do it. I'll borrow it. I'll steal it. I'll anything. Like I'm happy for them to die right now as a shaheed. Otherwise, it's called hubb dunya. Like if you want them to stay alive, even though what Allah wants them, like they would be more pleasing to Allah if they were dead, then that's called hubb dunya. Like you want them to be alive. That now they're dunya, right? You want the cat to Allah. So is the cat a means to please Allah and show affection to creation, or is the cat you want the cat to be alive, right? That's called hubb dunya. That's called love of the dunya, right? Wanting anything to last or get back other than something that is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So what you have to do is you have to slaughter your children. What did Sayyidina Ibrahim do, right? He slaughtered his son. Like, I'll do it 100%. If this is what you want me to do, Allah, I prefer you to my children. So slaughter them all emotionally, right? I don't mean physically, right? And then come back and be like, they're all gone. Now You hug your child as a way of hugging Allah. How else could you hug Allah if you didn't have a child? How else could you show care and concern if you didn't have a child who just bled and is crying? How else could you draw close to Allah by guiding a child who doesn't know what to do if they weren't these things, right? Yeah, but it's all dunya, Ilham. It's all dunya. المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا. Right? That's what it is. Kids are the biggest dunya in the world. Right? So what you need to do is you need to change your every relationship, every interaction, we change it into a amal, right? Your husband, he doesn't deserve respect. It's true. But I only respect him for the sake of Allah. Because I'm dead, I came back and said, man, I wish I had more respect for my husband. Because it doesn't matter whether he's a nice person or not. It's irrelevant. You're already dead, right? You're a dead person. I wish I could go back and just be a respectful wife, right? I wish I could go back and hug my child because that's a good thing to do. I wish I could go back and speak to my child about the akhirah. I wish I could go back and teach my kid to pray or help my kid understand Allah, right? That's what it is. So you die, everybody in your family is dead, and go back and say, what could I have done that I wish I could have done, right? Tons of things in dunya, tons of things. Taraweeh, it's fun. It's great. We all going to Taraweeh. I wish I could actually do something else, right? How many times people at Taraweeh and they shouldn't even be there? They're doing something else. It's just fun. It's like it's entertaining, right? Listening to a talk is entertaining. But actually, if they died and they saw their life, they would go back and do something totally different. Like, I wish I'd gone back and done this. I wish I'd gone back and done that. You know? Does that make sense? So anything that you want in and of itself is called dunya. Like you want the child alive because of that. You want the child to be happy because of itself. You want looks for looks. You want to be healthy for the sake of health, right? You're going to be dead tomorrow, right? So there's no point in trying to save your health. But saving your health, making yourself healthy and as good looking as you can, or saving yourself from disease is ibadah, but you don't care about the results. Yeah, but the point is, what do you want from them, right? So classic, Arab thing is, nafrah fik, right? Like my dream is that my son is graduates, gets married, and I see his achievement in life. That's not an achievement. I want to see sujood for my kids. I want to see a strong, beautiful relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So your children are dunya as long as you want your children, but they're akhirah as long as you want amal from them and from you, right? But but by default, you can assume that it's dunya, right? Or it's mixed, right? By default, it's like that. So it's like for I want my kid to be a hafiz, often it's going to be mixed with I want my child to achieve, right? So achieve or be close to Allah, it's not the same, right? It's not the same. Achieve and being close to Allah are not the same, right? Homeschooling, right? Right, I want them to achieve. I don't, but you want basically, so what is it? You are trying, so you want khushu', you want love of Allah, you want taqwa. That's what you're trying to create. So, you know, Southeast Asian, of course, same thing, right? So it's by default, the dunya is like that, right? Like if you ask me right now, the paradigm that I said, would you pay for your children to die as shaheed right now? It's like, that's a bit of a hard one, right? Exactly right. So before I take on young kids as Quran students, I always ask the parent exactly what's this intention. Oftentimes it is for themselves, the parents, not for the kids, right? So, but again, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean it's for the parents? So oftentimes as well, it's just achievement. It's just another brownie, badge. My son's a hafiz, put it on the wall, You know, it's a status. It's just like an Indo-Pak status, right? Which is not deen, right? That's not called deen. So a lot of deen is just dunya, because we're not like. But again, if you took this person, you take them to Judgment Day, and then they're dead, take them to the grave, and then take them back. Say, hey, bro, I have an opportunity. You want to go back? Oh my God, I want to go back. Let's go back and relive life. Your life will be very different. Your interaction with the Quran is very different. The way your interaction with who do you marry? Why do you marry? The conversation. Who was right and who was wrong? Honestly, who cares who was right and who was wrong? You know? Let's say a very practical thing. I'm a husband, right? I'm not a good husband, but real situation. Like every husband would wish they go back and say, please, wife, cuss me out like as much as soon as possible. Because every single time your wife insults you, the whole Aina behind you saying, saying things. So like, please, like, go back. You would wish, so you're in life, you're like, oh my God, I hate life because my wife is this. It's like, that's called hubb dunya. If you went into the grave, you would go back and you'd be like, oh my God, please, I want the worst wife possible so I can be as patient as possible with her. And like, she can just like treat me like dirt and it would be really good for me in the akhirah, right? So hubb dunya is you want a good marriage, even though the bad marriage is good for you. That's called hubb dunya, right? Does that make sense? So this is the process we have to do. Die in your head, go in the grave, go back. And your life will be is very different. The actual choices that you make are very, very different. Buying this car as opposed to that car, really? Would you buy that? Like, why'd you buy the Audi? Like, do you need an Audi? It's a nice car, but Audi versus Volkswagen, Volkswagen versus a Skoda works basically the same, right? Kia versus Toyota, basically the same. Brand new, you had to buy a brand new car. You had to buy a house that size, right? The way you interact with your son's math test, right? It's like, oh my God, you got it wrong. There's like, so you go and die and you come back and it's like, it doesn't really matter, right? How you talk, what you talk about, what your goals in your marriage are, what you're seeking for, what you're seeking, the arguments that come up, right? You wouldn't come back and have that same argument, but some of them you would, right? So, for example, the husband's telling the wife, you need to be more respectful. And she's like, well, that's just because you have a huge nafs. He's like, that's true, but that's irrelevant. You do have to be respectful because on Judgment Day, Allah's going to ask me, why didn't you tell your wife to be more respectful? Right? So he dies, he comes back and he says, yeah, I should tell my wife to be more respectful because that she is disrespectful and it's harming her. Right? So, but it's a different argument, right? Like my son yesterday, he was like, he was telling me, he's like, why, what is it? Like, why didn't you do this? I said, no, you should do this. And he's like, well, who do you think you are? Like, why are you so special? I said, I don't think I'm special. I'm just saying it's just for your sake. Like, I should sit here and you should sit there. It's not about me, right? So there are certain things you would fight for, certain arguments you would have, certain battles you would have in the workplace, certain money that you would earn, that if you died, you come back and do the same. That you come back and say, I want to do that. Exercise. Maybe you would do more exercise, right? That means it's not dunya, right? Maybe you would sleep more. Say, I know what, I should have slept more, you know? Like I was at Taraweeh and then I was working the next day and I wasn't working properly and I was taking haram money. So actually what I would do is if I died, I would go back and miss Taraweeh, right? Yeah, but in reality, distraction is hubb dunya. So being distracted is called hubb dunya. So distraction is intentional and active. So distraction is like this, Azhar. I'm distracted by the font from the letters, from the message, right? So I'm reading this. I read, can we long for a good marriage? And I'm distracted by the shape of the sea. And I'm trying to think what font it is. Do you understand? So wouldn't it be funny, like if I couldn't read because I got continued distracted by the font? So should the font distract you from the message of the font? Is that a normal? Like you're reading a book and you're like, whoa, I can't read because I'm looking at the font. You have a problem, right? Like if you can't read the book because you keep distracted by the font, then you have a problem. Or that whenever you look at the page, you're like, oh, what's the how much acid did they use in the paper? So that's called dunya. It's called myopia. So you have a difficulty in life. The difficulty in life is a direct, clear, written message signed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you azhar, and you read it and you can't read it. So that's called ghafla, it's called hubb dunya. The reason why we can't, the reason why we don't find the sweetness of Iman in every single pain and pleasure in life is because we are ghafilin, we're actively heedless of Allah. And we're looking at the font instead of the message. Right? So this situation, your husband just says something to really hurt you. Your wife said something to really hurt you. Your kid is super rude to you. The manager just fired you for no reason. Right? So you're distracted by the font. You're now with the manager, with the wife, with the husband, with the kid, with this, with that, and you don't understand the message. Like who's talking to you? Allah's talking to you. But you got distracted by the font, which is how the message came to you. But you're not listening. You're not reading the message or who it's coming from. Every single phenomenon in life, every single sense data that comes to you, and is directly from Allah, is a direct message from Allah. So how could you be direct? The only way you could be confused is that you're not, it's like you're lost, you're trying to find somebody who's under rubble, okay, and you're distracted by this. What does that mean? And you're like, man, I wish that tapping would stop. I'm trying to find a person in rubble. What does that mean? Morse code for help me. So like, oh my God, you're retarded. Like I am telling you that I'm here, I'm tapping on this piece of metal and I'm saying help me, and you are not, and you are distracted by the very message itself. Does that make sense? Like that's how we are. Allah is sending you a message. Allah's talking to you. And so you say, can we ask for good marriage so that we're not distracted from Allah? Your distraction from Allah is your problem, not the marriage. So subhanAllah, when we were doing that marriage class, who was it? The sheikh, he said, someone comes to him and says, oh, my wife's controlling me, right? Yeah, we see the signs, we don't read them, you know? So I look at Sham, for example, Sham says, Fareed, you're stepping on my toe, and I'm looking at the S, I'm like, oh, look, there's a snake shape. Like, Fareed, you're really weird. I'm trying to tell you you're stepping on my toe, and I just sent you a text message, you're stepping on my toe, and you're looking at the S in the beginning of your name and thinking like it looks like it's a very immature way of interacting with messages. Like you look at the shapes of the word or the colors, oh, it's blue, it's this color. Like, how's that relevant? So this is the myopia that is kufr, that is heedlessness, that is distraction. So distraction is an active process that we do, right? Okay. It's like me. I worked out, I think 3 weeks ago, what BRB meant. It's like subhanallah, Fareed. Like, where are you? Right? So people are like that. So kufr is an active process of the message comes to you, and you're like, you just kind of like you read it in a distorted way. You read it in a distorted way. So it's like the message comes to you is very clear, and you just read it in a distorted way, actively and intentionally, because you don't like the message. And that's what we all do, right? That's what we all do, right? You feel hungry and you get angry, right? And you're angry that you can't get in your house because you lost your keys. Like Allah is doing these things, right? So how do we get rid of those distractions? By following the sunnah. So the sunnah is the key to escape these things. Follow the sunnah, prefer Allah to yourself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the door. احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. We'll look out for Allah. This is the sunnah. Follow the sunnah. Follow the sunnah. Follow the sunnah. Do what is right. Do what is right. Do what is right. تجده تجاهك. You find Allah in front of you. You're not going to have distractions anymore. The distraction itself will be a screaming message in your face. And before it was a distraction, it's not a distraction, right? Does that make sense? So in reality, what we're doing is following the sunnah, is we're following this light from Allah and lighting up the room in our world, and the path that previously you stubbed your toe on the stone that marked the path. Now the path is leading you the way. So the thing that stubbed you in the toe is now your guide. But just you couldn't see things before. So your bad marriage, your sickness, your health issues, your financial issues, your political issues, they're all signs of Allah, and they're all very clear signs of Allah, right? Let's think about the Dajjal. Is the Dajjal good or bad? Will it help you or harm you? It's pretty bad, right? Okay, what about that person who the Dajjal will cut in half? Do you know what he tells the Dajjal? He says, I know you today like I never knew you before. Like I believed in Allah, I believed in his message, I knew the Dajjal was coming, I knew that this person was the Dajjal, but now the Dajjal has cut me in half, walked through my body, brought me back to life. Like, subhanAllah, my iman is even stronger. Right? So the bad sign becomes a really good sign. Like your iman is insane level now. Right? It's really, really clear. Right? And then the clarity becomes is a sweetness, is actually a pleasure. Like your life becomes pleasurable. Like it's really good. Right? You see exactly like clarity is this really big thing. So the issue is not ease and difficulty, it's clarity. When you lack clarity, like don't understand what's going on. Why am I suffering? Why is there pain? What's going on? That's the problem. And so how do you get clarity? Do what Allah is asking you to do. Don't do what Allah is asking you to do, everything will become murky. Do what Allah is asking you to do, everything will become clear. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَهُ فُرْقَانًا. Clear distinction between right and wrong. Everything's clear. You don't fear Allah, doesn't happen. Right? Don't process things as Allah asks you to process, doesn't work. So to attain the state of die before you die, we need to remember death often. No, just go through it, sitting in your life. Like, at least if you're dead right now, let's go through it. Like, oh, I'm dealing with my health issues. Sister, your body is going to rot in the grave. You're going to be the most ugliest, hideous thing ever. So don't worry about how you look. It's pointless. Your business is going to fail. Your children are going to die eventually. You know, everything's going to fall apart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the destruction of everything. All you have is your good deeds. Okay, so now go back. How can I take good deeds from my work? How can I take good deeds from these things? And then it changes some. You realize, you know what? I shouldn't do that job. I shouldn't work part-time. I shouldn't be working. Who cares? You know? So, for example, not all, but many women who work, like, why are you even working? Like, not all, many women have to work. This, they need to work because it's, dual income is necessary. But for many women, it's like, it's not. Why even working? What's the point? Like like the conversation you had with your son about his maths test would change drastically. When your son spilt coffee all over your new computer, it would change drastically if you were to die and come back, right? Half of the discussions don't even matter. 90% of your arguments with husband and wife would disappear because it really doesn't matter, right? The way you looked at the computer game in front of my son's playing. Is he playing? Smash Bros. It's a different thing. So before, for example, let's say as a mother, oh, I'm so concerned my son has too much screen time, right? It's actually a paranoia. You're paranoid, hubb dunya, as opposed to you come back and you look at it in a different way. It's now you're looking at it from the point of view as amana, as in, you're not as paranoia. So many women, it's like they can't let go, right? They're attached, and it's like they worry too much about their kids, and many men as well. My dad used to always come and touch my ear to see if I was cold. It's what worry, right? Worry is called hubb dunya, right? So you shouldn't, you know, and also think actively say astaghfirullah, right? You see a nice car, like there's these two really nice Porsches. I like Porsches, by the way. I keep talking about Porsches in my classes. So guys, inshallah, honorarium, nice Porsche Carrera, inshallah. 911. So like you see this Porsche and you like it. What do? The sunnah is to say, Inna al-aisha aisha al-akhirah. Right? You say that the real life is like the akhirah. Like actively turn your heart away from it. Right? Actively turn your heart away from it. Like you lower your gaze from the haram, you lower your gaze from hubb dunya. You see a dress that you like, don't care about it. You see something of the dunya that you want to achieve, don't care about it. Right? So dying before you die makes your life much easier. Right? You're going to be dead soon. Do you really want to have this argument? Do you really want to work hard for this thing? Yes. Doing my medical degree was worth it, right? Yeah, so I tell your wife, I saw this lady wearing this dress. I really liked this. I bought it for you. See what happens. Um, right? Um, uh, yeah, but I'm joking, right? But that's different, right? A different way, the cake. Would you eat that third piece of cake if you were dead, right? Would you care that somebody took your parking spot, right? A lot of stress of life is going to go away, right? It really doesn't matter, right? It's just again, and it's easy. Car crash tomorrow. Just think about car crash tomorrow, right? Car crashes happen all the time. Let's say I'm going to have a car crash tomorrow. What is in my day to day? What is worth fighting for? What's worth fighting for? What's the effort? What should I put effort into? You know, what's worth getting upset about? There are certain things that are worth getting upset about, it's true. But that should be judged based on the fact that you're dead tomorrow. There's a car crash tomorrow, we're all dead. Right? And a lot of things we do in life is pointless. Like you're just chasing after stupid things. Right. Inshallah. But anyway, so we die before we die. Kill your children. That's the upshot, right? Kill your children. Meaning, so you don't have children because for children. You have children for these things. Marry somebody that you marry somebody you're never going to be with ever. Right? So when you get married, you marry somebody assuming you're both gonna have a car crash before you ever get married. Right? That changes drastically the person you marry, right? That when it's Sahabiya that married Julaybib, she was like, I don't really care if he's a dwarf. The Prophet ﷺ is trying to marry somebody off. I can't bear to meet Allah and you know, like when basically the Prophet ﷺ was proposing to me for me to marry this dwarf, and I said no, I can't do that. Right? So then she married him. What happened? He died the next day as a shaheed. Right? So she married who she chose to marry, how you choose to marry. You're gonna spend that much on the wedding? Are you gonna have that much music at the wedding? Are you gonna dress like that at the wedding in front of those people? You're not gonna do that. It's gonna be a very different wedding. It's gonna be a different house. It's gonna be different clothes. It's gonna be a different this, different that. Right? Inshallah. Again, for men, you would pay your wife to insult you if you could come back. Like, please insult me. Please treat me really badly. Right? Um, all those annoying things that your husband asks you to do, you'd ask him to do that more because you realize, right? And so, not because I'm a man, just because it's like there's a lot of ththings, that women you would focus on your husband much more in reality because that's what you read the hadiths, you read the things like that would be, that's your key, right? He is your paradise and your hell. So why are you focusing on many other things in life that are really not a priority? Right? May Allah forgive us all. Not because he's worth it, right? No man's worth it. MashaAllah, sister, you know, no man's worth you. No man's worth you. But because Allah's worth it, right? If you died, you'd come back and be like, yeah, I'm really sorry. I should have done this, right? Inshallah, we'll stop. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك